All right, so yesterday you saw we were up on the roof removing those plumbing vent caps, the rear cap seal, and the all the clearance light wiring, the luggage rack that's not going back on, the 12-volt vents, and the wiring for the solar and all that stuff. I'm gonna start taking off the air conditioner now and start with the inside. All right, so this is the Coleman Mach. This is the type of unit that has the controls actually on the interior unit itself. So we're going to remove the filter, well, this cap, which allows you to remove the filters, but it's two little screws here that you just half turn, or sorry, quarter turn, and this panel drops down. That comes out. That's how you change or clean your filters. We're going to loosen these screws up so we can pull down this unit here and disconnect our wiring. So right here we've got our 110 volt connection right there in the electrical box. I'm going to disconnect that. So I'll get my cordless screwdriver. These are just Phillips screws. You can see they're spring loaded. Get these things loosened up and get this sealant assembly dropped down. Some screws up in here on the boot. Now we should be able to drop this down. And we're just hanging on by the AC power wire. And this plug here, unplug that guy there. Now I can just open up this box and disconnect the wiring from this side. So we just had this plug right there. Just pinch those two things together. That comes off. And then now we've got our 120 volt wiring. I'll have to loosen up those tension screws for the retainer, and then unscrew the terminals for the 120 volt. Now I need to make note here that I am unplugged. I've got no power going to this, but so you'll want to obviously make sure you're unplugged, and then you know you can just take all your breakers off. I'm unplugged, so that's not necessary, but I'm just showing you to be safe. Make sure that you don't have any power going to this 120 volt line. If you want to be extra careful, once you get this cover removed, this little sheet metal shield here, put your meter on the line to make sure that you've got no power in this 120 volt power line. You can also use a voltage pen power detector. So like here, this is a hot plug. We've got power, and we can come inside and we've got nothing. All right, to remove that shield, now we've got access to our wires. There was just some tape holding that shield onto the plastic. So this unit will get reused. My neighbor might be using this, and he'll just have to put some new tape on there when he goes to install it. So it looks like we've just got some twist caps on here for our ground, our hot, and our neutral. pull these off. Okay. All right, now we got the ceiling unit down. Set that aside. And now we can see the 4 bolts. Right there and there. And you can even see the gasket all the way around there. And obviously that gasket did a good job because there's no signs of water intrusion anywhere. So cool. Now this is just a 14 by 14, a standard roof vent, just like this one here. Standard roof vent opening. So I will have no problem mounting my max air fan there. And this over here was just where the pre-wire was for the air conditioner. So that's where they ran the 120 line to. And they do pre-drill. At least on this one, they did. So next step is to loosen up these bolts and get that air conditioner roof unit off of the roof. All right, so I went ahead and pulled that blank receptacle off. You can see that's how they pre-wire it. They, put the wire up in there, and then if you opt to put an air conditioner in, you cut that line, run the wire through the hole, because there was probably just a regular 14 by 14 vent here when the camper was new, not an air conditioner. This didn't come with an air conditioner. This is actually a unit that the previous owner put on right before I bought it, actually. But I'm going to push these wires back through and hook that back up, or store the wires back in this so I can put that back in there. These wires will be abandoned for now, just because obviously the max air fan's 12 volt, and I'll run my 12 volt power to that fan when I've got the decking off the roof, as well as a couple other places. But I don't want to completely abandon these wires and cut them out. So I'm going to put them back in the way they were when they were new by hooking it back up to this blank and screwing it back up into the ceiling. So get this pushed back through. Okay. And then I'll get this taken apart and get this shoved back up in there so I can have a blank where these wires were. You just got to align the wire up with the brass terminals, and then there's a little groove right next to the terminal where you push with your screwdriver to lock it into place. So those are in there like that, and then I'll trim my excess off. In there. Trim my excess off. And then these are properly terminated inside the box. So I've got my hot, my ground, and my neutral all terminated here inside this terminated box. So I'm gonna get this mounted back up to the roof. That little plastic bottom plate clips into place, and now it's ready to be put back up in the ceiling. Okay, so the 4 bolts that compress the air conditioner gasket, they're 5/16. Okay, all 4 bolts are out. Let's go ahead and get up on the roof, take the shroud off, and just lift that air conditioner off to the side. Pull out all your wasp nests. I just cleaned this not too long ago, so it should be fine. All right. So now we can just lift this off. And then this ring just comes out like that. You don't have to tell me how good this looks. I know. Cover that hole up just so I don't accidentally step through. I did it on all the other ones too. There and there. I'm being careful, but you never know. All right, so I got the sealant stripped off around the screws. And now for the fun part, just get all the screws out. I've already got the air conditioner down. I moved my utility trailer over here, and that's where I'm gonna put my sheathing, my plywood, on top of that, so I have a work surface and you know, an area to stand on and stuff. All right, there's all those. These are all stainless steel screws, but you can see that they're not discolored or anything, so this was sealed really well. That's a good cover. That's aluminum. That is the bug screen that I put on a few years back. That's worked great. Keeps the wasps out of this area. So yeah, on the new cover I'll do the same thing. All right, TV antenna and the escape hatch and the cab over. Those last two things done and I can rip the rubber roof off. Well, I got to get the front cap trim off too, and then I can rip the rubber roof off. That'll be fun. All right, I gobbed all the sealant off of this. Get all these screws off. There's about 12 of them. All right, got the screws out. I need to just get my razor knife and cut the sealant around this mounting plate. And then I need to go down in the camper and remove the handle from the actual antenna. All right, so that little Allen key right there, little hex, it's 3/32. Just loosen that sucker up. Pull the handle down, and the other little thing that tells you what direction you're going. This is not going back up, so all this is coming out, and that'll just be filled in with a little, you know, some kind of a trim piece. So if you're just messing with the antenna and not replacing your roof, you'll want to get all this sealant off, and you know, when you reinstall it, reseal it really well. But this is, I'm putting a new roof on. This is not going back on, so I just cut the rubber membrane around the sealant. Hopefully it will just come up as one unit. And that plate probably has some screws in it. Yep, it does. A couple of screws. X. So now I can just pull this up. Well, not too bad. Just a little bit at the screw hole. Still solid. It doesn't matter, it's all getting replaced, but still, that means that underneath that should be okay. So this plate and the antenna, obviously not going back up. This was not it wasn't my TV antenna for the past couple of years. It was my Wi-Fi antenna, or sorry, my cell phone antenna. But it's not going back up. Different systems going in. Now I am probably going to sell this, the whole system, the cell phone booster system with this arm already modified on eBay. So I'm just gonna put it on there for, I don't know, 50 bucks or something like that with the booster. And somebody will get some use out of it. All right, the emergency exit's off. Get that hauled down. It's still good, but I think I'm gonna install something different. So now I just need to get this front cap trim, but it's underneath this Eternabond tape that I put on a few years ago. All right, so I know that there's a screw the length of the blade, each length of the blade. So I don't have to go through, and there should be one right there. Don't have to go through and undo all of the sealant, because this isn't going to get reused for this front seal anyway. So there's a screw there. I haven't decided if it's going to get used yet. If it does, then of course I will clean it up down on the bench. But I just want to get all this stuff off. You can see where they overlapped the front cap. They do put the rubber roof under this piece of trim, but the decking ends, the roof deck ends right there, and then they put the trim. So it's not ideal. And when I go back to redo this front cap, the seam won't be right here. So I'll bring it up a little bit further. So it's no wonder this front cap is all rotten. They missed. So the roof deck ends here, and the fiberglass front cap starts here. There's about an inch gap there, and then this is the framework of the camper, of the roof. And then all they had was some butyl tape and then a bead of sealant on the outside. So no wonder it leaked and destroyed this nose of the camper. All right, the rubber's ready to come off. I'm not gonna do that tonight. So tomorrow the rubber comes off, and then I can begin the repairs on the rot. So we'll see you on the next video. Later.